All right, welcome back. This is going to be video 60 in this whole presentation of Dinosaurs and Man. And we are not done yet. We are not done yet. We've still got lots more to talk about before this whole presentation is over with. But we're going to continue on with the topic of dinosaur-like animals that have been reported in Africa, especially in the Congo, in that general area. We're centering a little bit above the equator, the north part of the equator, but we're general in that Congo area, the jungles of Africa. And so now, if you notice on the screen here, this is the book where I have this is one of my prized possessions, guys, that's in my library. And this is by Dr. Roy Mackal. Roy Mackal. He is deceased now. He died in 2013. But I would have loved to been able to sit down and talk with this gentleman. Just an absolute amazing man. He is an evolutionist. He does believe in evolution. And for anybody that wants to get this book, you will see that all throughout this book. The man does believe in evolution, but he is convinced that there very well could be a dinosaur still alive, or dinosaurs still alive in Africa, in that Congo area. And we're going to be looking at a number of different animals that is mentioned in this book here. And so that's where a good portion of the material that I'm going to be sharing with you from here on out until this block is done. A lot of it will come from here, not necessarily all of it, but a good portion of it will come from this book here. And so now, this is a picture. This is inside the book. This is from the expedition team. This is the second trip out, when he made a second expedition out into the area. But if you'll notice, guys, notice that pygmy there that is on the it would be the left side if you're looking at the picture here, but it's actually going to be on the right of Dr. Mackal there. Notice that pygmy, about 4 feet tall is all they are. But the lifespan, the average lifespan of a pygmy is only 25 years. 25 years. And so, I'm not sure if that's just genetics or if it's just the area in general, just because of the dangerous area. And so, I don't know, but their average lifespan of a pygmy is only 25 years. 25 years, that's it. Now, Dr. Roy Mackal was saying in his book, there was a pervasive sense of traveling back into time when the world was young, a hothouse, or maybe a Garden of Eden, where evolutionary processes were filling all available environmental niches, which with countless diverse forms of plants and animals continually becoming better adapted to their habitat. Now, this is, again, guys, this is coming from an evolutionist. I'm using his words. He goes on to say, this was indeed a hothouse of terrestrial life, surely the proper setting for a surviving sauropod. Now, that word sauropod, just go ahead and put dinosaur right there. Now, these are some of the animals that the pygmies have stated that they have seen in the area, and where some people didn't believe it. They didn't believe it, and but later on, they did find out that what the pygmies stated was true. One of them is being this animal right here. The animals described a giant monkey-eating bird reported back in 1847 that also picked up small goats. The bird later turned out to be a giant eagle. And there you go, right before your eyes is that animal. Before the 1900, the pygmies described an animal that was half giraffe and half zebra. The scientific community at that time said that it was nonsense. An animal by that description was Paleotragus, and was believed to have become extinct about 20 to 30 million years ago. In 1900, Sir Harry Johnston, 1858 to 1927, explored the area and found an animal that looked like Paleotragus alive and well. And that animal looked like this right here. And we're going to show you some actual pictures of this animal. Look like that right there. Real bizarre, guys. Real bizarre looking, huh? This is a color photograph of that. Paleotragus, where the scientific community said that these animals died out 20 to 30 million years ago. This is that animal, guys. The okapi, aka Paleotragus. Now, I put a question mark there because of, is this what this animal is talking about? Now, we're going to look at some descriptions, exactly what this animal is. I believe we're looking at Paleotragus. It is a member of the giraffe family. And remember what they said, that it was half giraffe and half zebra? It was discovered in 1900 in the inaccessible rainforest of northeastern Democratic Republic of the Congo and western Uganda. Due to how rare and the secluded life each okapi lives, little information is known about it to classify it as threatened or endangered. They just live such a secluded life. So this okapi here is 5.5 feet tall. This is from the shoulders all the way down to the ground. 7 feet long. And the tail is 12 to 17 inches long. Look at the head there, guys. The male okapi, the male has 2 small skin-covered bony knobs on each forehead. The okapi have a long, flexible blue-black tongue that is used to rip leaves from branches. Now, look at the head on that, guys. That looks like a giraffe, don't it? Looks a lot like a giraffe. And look at the rest of the body. It looks like a giraffe. At a zebra. It looks like a zebra. So this animal does look a lot like half giraffe, half zebra. This right here is Paleotragus. This is the okapi. This is what that animal that the pygmies was stating that they saw that everybody said was nonsense. Again, what did the scientific community say? At that time, they said it was nonsense. An animal by that description was Paleotragus and was believed to have become extinct about 20 to 30 million years ago. So there is your science that everybody keeps throwing up all the time that they said is true and factual and stuff like that. If it wasn't for those people actually finding and seeing that animal, they'd say it was nonsense, but that animal's found alive and well. Paleotragus is not extinct. Now, this right here is Mahamba. Now, the natives have stated that the animals, that the giant crocodile that they see, that they call Mahamba, reaches 50 feet in length. Now, to a native, that is absolutely gigantic. The average length of a crocodile is only about 23 feet long. Now, a native is 4 feet tall. Now, even 23 feet is still a good size compared to a native, but 50 feet in length is what they describe. And so I think the natives can be taken as a reliable source based upon the other 2 animals that we've already seen already. Just because we haven't seen one doesn't mean they don't exist. This is another animal. Now, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but if you look down there where it says a giant turtle, that right there is the name of it, Ndendeki. And so I'm not sure if I was to try it, it would be, I guess, Dendeki, if the N is silent. Or it could be Nendeki. But it means a giant turtle is what it means. What they say is the shell is described to be about 12 to 15 feet in diameter and more rounded than other types of turtles. And this is what they describe right here. And again, your 4-foot pygmy off to the side of it for scale. Now, giant turtles, at least their fossils, have been seen before. This one here, a giant marine turtle, was about 11 and a half feet long. And this right here actually came from a book that I found at a thrift store, believe it or not. I found this in a thrift store. I want to say it was in Mount Airy is where I found it. Prehistoric Sea Monsters is what it's called. But this is from page 53. And so this right here is a giant marine turtle. So they can get big. Now, of course, I personally believe that this turtle here was before the flood. But a skull to another one was found, estimating the total size to be about 14 feet long. And so again, there's that turtle there. This is another, this is the underbelly of it. And so gigantic, absolutely just monstrous. These giant turtles are not only interesting in themselves, but also they are a good example of how environmental changes produce changes in animals' bodies in accordance with the requirements of the new surroundings. And so I will say this, if you've got a good environment with plenty of food, and you've got some animals like reptiles that never stop growing, there is no telling how big some of these animals could actually get. Now, this right here is another animal. They call it the snake dinosaur. This is, let's just say it's Numa monene. I'm just trying that. That's a guess. It's been recorded. What has been reported is that it's 130 to 190 feet 130 to 195 feet long, has a serrated ridge running along all or most of its back. It had a forked tongue that darted in and out like a snake's, but the informant said it was not an oversized python, though the name means python or boa or snake, and monene means large or great. It didn't look like, it wasn't a python, is what they're saying. It wasn't what you would consider a legless snake, is what they're saying. This one here is another one. They call it the killer of elephants. Let's just say it's Emila tuca. I'm trying that one. Sometimes referred to as the water elephant. And look at that, guys. That is another animal that the pygmies have stated that they have actually seen in that area. And so this was a description of an animal. I'm not sure if it could possibly be this animal I just showed you. I'm gonna go over the description. This right here was from that article. There Could Be Dinosaurs by Ivan T. Sanderson. This is what they stated about this animal, and then I'm going to make some comments about it. It said this man, and it's Monsieur Lepage, I'm going to say, in 1920, returned from a hunting trip and announced that he had come upon an extraordinary animal of great size in the swamp. It had charged him, making a snorting noise, and he had fired wildly, but seeing that it did not halt, he had retreated precipitately. When the monster abandoned the chase, he turned and examined it through a pair of binoculars for some considerable period. He stated that it was 8 meters, about 26 feet long, had a long pointed snout, a short horn above its nostrils, and a scaly hump on its shoulders. The forefeet appeared to be solid, like those of a horse, but the hind feet were separated into digits. And so, is that the animal here? Is it possible? I don't know. It's quite possible. I mean, it seems to be one heck of an animal. Now, I will say this, when we start getting into Mokele and Bimbi, there have been some reports that Mokele and Bimbi did have that horn on the end of the nose like you're seeing this animal here also. There have been some people that have stated that it had that, or it was a tooth or something like that. And so, but it did stick up. And so I'm not sure, but that's what I just thought I'd throw that out. This animal here, I'm not sure if it's Bilu, the animal with planks growing out of its back. And so this drawing here is what the pygmies stated that they saw. Now, if you'll notice, to the top left-hand corner, that is what a stegosaur looks like. And so they said it had an animal with planks the animal with planks growing out of its back. Is there any other animal that you could think on the planet that would match such of a description? Now, you got to remember, we're not talking about the dinosaurs that were growing before the flood. The world was much different. Even secular scientists have stated that the Apatosaurus, the nostrils, was about the same size of a horse that we have now, and that the air quality, the environment had to be different because there's no way that those animals could get enough air, enough oxygen to feed those animals at the size that they were growing. And so today, even Mokele-mbembe is a much smaller size than what we would see in the fossil record. So even this drawing here of this supposed, what very well could be a stegosaur, it's a much smaller size or scale than what we find in the fossil record. And so it makes sense. It makes sense because the descriptions of what the pygmies are given is a much smaller rendition of what we see in the fossil record. And so it does make sense. And so now the stegosaurs that we've seen, of course, and this one that I just showed you in Africa, and then we have that one that was in Cambodia, the Cambodian stegosaur. If you guys do remember that one, that is the one that we've seen. And so again, if you'll notice this one right here, this is the Apatosaur. The Mokele-mbembe, on the next video that we get into, we're going to talk about Mokele-mbembe, and this animal right here is what has been described as Mokele-mbembe. Much smaller, about the size of a hippopotamus. Some have stated that they've seen some get about as large as an elephant, but somewhere between a hippopotamus and an elephant, this is about the size that they get. And remember, guys, before the flood, the environment was much different, much different. And we're going to talk more about that when we start getting into the flood in Noah's Ark. We're going to talk about a theory that's called the canopy theory. The canopy theory. But even at that, secular scientists have stated that the nostrils was about the same size as a modern horse. And so to feed an animal, if you'll notice on the screen here, I'm going to show you a slide that I have showing the comparison of a Apatosaurus to a modern horse. And so to get air in that animal with the same size nostrils as that horse, that animal, it's going to really have a hard time. And so the air quality must be different. And they have found bubbles that are in tree sap that have been fossilized, that the air had more oxygen in it than what we have today. And so showing that the air was different at the time of these animals, when the animals were growing. And so, but guys, we're going to stop right there. Next time we get together, we're going to start talking about Mokele-mbembe. Mokele-mbembe. And so, but you guys take care. I love you, and I hope the Lord blesses you real good. Bye-bye.